podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
The Two-Footed Podcast is brought to you by EPLindex.com and our presenting sponsor, Liberty Shield. Liberty Shield is a VPN provider. A virtual privacy network allows you to go online, change your location, access things you're geo-blocked from, while keeping your data safe. So, as an example, if you are a UK expat and want access to BBC iPlayer to watch Match of the Day, or ITV Hub, or all four, but you get that message that says this content is not available in your location, a Liberty Shield VPN gets you around that block, allows you to watch whatever you want on those services while also keeping your data safe. And it goes further than that. It allows you to open up Netflix's entire library by just changing your IP address. Liberty Shield is the #1 rated VPN provider on Trustpilot with 5-star ratings across the board. So go to libertyshield.com right now, use the code EPL25 and get either the hardware package or the software package. The hardware package is a router that you plug into your existing router, and any item you want to change the IP address on, be it your phone or your television, you connect that to the new Liberty Shield router. All other items can remain connected to your existing router. There's also a software package which is instantly downloadable to your device and you can get using straight away. Again, libertyshield.com, EPL25 for 25% off at checkout. We're also brought to you by Home of Hopcroft, a giftware and homeware company located in Scotland but shipping worldwide. Check out homeofhopcroft.co.uk and do check out the EPL Index and Anfield Index shops, which you'll find on Etsy. Use the codes EPL10 or RED10 for 10% off at checkout. And lastly, do remember to check out A Tad Predictable, hosted by Tadiwa. That podcast is on this feed before every Premier League match week. And then the EPL Roundtable, hosted by Kevin DeVries, on its own EPL Roundtable feed. So just search EPL Roundtable in your podcast device. And that's out after every match week. Now, on with the show. What's good, boys and girls? Two-Footed Podcast. Today is Tuesday. It is the 2nd of April. And the weather's decent. How are you all? Hope you had a good Easter weekend. We had a wild weekend in the Premier League. Some absolutely outlandish games, some incredibly bad refereeing decisions. And what promised to be a big, fun game turned out to be an absolute damp squib. But let's start Saturday lunchtime. Newcastle 4, West Ham United 3. Alexander Isak put Newcastle 1 up on 6 minutes from the penalty spot. And then West Ham took over. Mikel Antonio on 21. Jared Bowen just before half-time, deep in stoppage time in the first. Mohamed Kudus deep in stoppage time in the first half. And then Jared Bowen just after half-time, making it 3-1, and West Ham looking like they were going to cruise to a very comfortable victory. But the game changed on 77 minutes. One of the worst refereeing decisions you'll see this season. Now, taking out the Luis Diaz offside thing at Tottenham, which was a VAR error, this is one of the worst refereeing decisions you're going to see. There's a scramble in the West Ham penalty area. The ball breaks to Calvin Phillips. He controls the ball. He's about to clear the ball. Anthony Gordon wraps his foot around Calvin Phillips, does not touch the football. That's the important thing to remember here. Phillips is in control of the ball. Gordon does not touch the ball. Gordon blocks Phillips from kicking the ball Phillips kicks through Gordon. Gordon goes down, rolls around the place, and is given a penalty. There's no way it's a penalty. It's a free out to West Ham. And if the correct decision is given, West Ham go on and win this game comfortably. But the penalty is given. Isak steps up. He scores again. Then on 83 minutes, Harvey Barnes scores to make it 3-3. And then on 90 minutes, it's Harvey Barnes again with an outstanding finish to make it 4-3. And look, Newcastle did brilliantly well once they got back to 3-2, and West Ham bottled it. But that decision on the second penalty, now the first penalty I thought was pretty soft anyway. The second one is an absolute disgrace. And West Ham should feel rightly aggrieved. Chelsea should also feel aggrieved, but only at their own incompetence. At home to Burnley, Burnley get a man sent off on 40 minutes. It's Lorenzo Insigne, and a penalty is given to Chelsea. Cole Palmer steps up and scores. But then 3 minutes later, 10 men Burnley, well, 3 minutes later, but after half time, 10 men Burnley equalised through Josh Cullen. Then on 78 minutes, Cole Palmer again puts Chelsea back in front. Really nice goal. Really well taken from Palmer here. But 3 minutes later, Dara O'Shea equalises and Burnley get out of there with a draw. Including stoppage time, Burnley played like 61 minutes total with 10 men. And Chelsea went ahead twice against 10 men and still couldn't hold on. And Chelsea will say, oh, we had 33 shots, we had 13 on target, we had 70% of the ball. Fair. But you allowed Burnley to have 18 shots, including 7 on target, from only 30% of the ball, which will tell you that they were far more productive with their usage of the football than you were with yours. And Chelsea don't deserve anything more than the solitary point that they got. Maurizio Pochettino coming out and saying, by the data, we should be fourth, is one of the more deluded things I've ever heard. Now, somebody has pointed me in the direction of Opta and their expected points metric, but that has Chelsea sixth, not fourth. I don't know what he's looking at that tells him they should be fourth, but Maurizio, we've all watched the games. You should not be fourth. Sheffield United 3, Fulham 3. This is a huge lost opportunity for Sheffield United to win a game. Ben Brereton Diaz put them 1-up on 58 minutes. João Palhinha equalised on 62. Ollie McBurney made it 2-1 to Sheffield United on 68 minutes, and then Ben Brereton Diaz got his second and the Blades' third on 70. And it looked, for all intents and purposes, like they were going to win the game. But then Bobby D. Cordova-Reid on 86 and Rodrigo Muniz, who I've been saying for the last few weeks, I really like the look of him. He scores on 93 minutes to rescue a point for Fulham. Now, based on the balance of play, Fulham will say they deserved their point, and there's probably a strong argument that they did. But when you go 3-1 up at home and you're into the 86th minute, you should not be dropping points. This is why Sheffield United are going down. Nottingham Forest won, Crystal Palace won. I think Forest will be very disappointed not to have won this game, though, again, balance of play, a draw, the right result. Jean-Philippe Mateta scoring on 11 minutes from an Eberechi Eze assist. Chris Wood scoring on 61 from a Morgan Gibbs-White assist. I did say I was looking forward to watching that battle of those two playmakers. Both of them had decent games, not their best, but both were decent. The Chris Wood header, though, is incredible. Like, it's an outrageous header. It's a lovely clipped ball from Gibbs-White, but it doesn't really give Wood much of a chance to score. And yet he manages to arc his neck and flick the ball behind himself with enough loop to beat the goalkeeper. And really, Dean Henderson stood no chance. So overall, I think both sides will be happy enough with the point based on the game that took place, but I do feel like that was one that Forest kind of had to win. Other results did go in their favour, but I felt like that's one that they really had to win. Bournemouth 2, Everton 1. Dominic Solanke on 64 minutes put Bournemouth 1 up. Beto equalised on 87 minutes. A little bit of controversy about that one, but I thought it was the right decision. I don't think Neto was strong enough. I don't think he had control of the ball, and Beto took advantage of the situation. But then Everton being Everton, there's a ball into the box. Seamus Coleman, I think, is trying to turn his body out of the way to not make contact with it, but it hits him and goes in the 91st minute. And Bournemouth take all 3 points. Tottenham 2, Luton Town 1. Heath Chong put Luton 1 up as they caught Spurs cold on 3 minutes. From there, Spurs tried to dominate the game, but it never felt like they fully found their groove. It always felt like they were just letting things break down with the final ball, with the final decision. But they get back on level terms through an Issa Kabore own goal under pressure from Timo Werner at the back post. Kabore had no option. He just put the ball into the back of his own net. I think he was trying to clear it, but it skewed into the back of his own net. And then on 86 minutes, after a little bit of a scramble, the ball falls to Heung-min Son, who's never going to miss from there. And he gives Spurs the win. He now moves to 5th all time for Spurs in terms of goals scored, which is incredibly impressive, considering he spent most of his career for them playing on the wing. It's a big win for Spurs and a win that they needed. The 5:30 game on Saturday saw Aston Villa beat Wolves 2-0. Moussa Diaby on 36. Ezri Konsa on 65. I thought Villa were pretty good value for the win. Wolves did have plenty of the ball and they had opportunities, but I never felt like they were really going to score because of who they had playing. They had Tommy Doyle, Sarabia, and Chiwome as a front three. And Chiwome's a really young player who, I mean, he's 18, who's only making his first Premier League start. I thought he gave a good account of himself and he worked really, really hard. But I was a little bit surprised that it was him that got the start over Nathan Fraser, who's played a bit more. Ait Nouri had a decent chance. He probably should have scored. But other than that, I'm not really sure that I could credit Wolves for creating a whole lot. Villa weren't anywhere close to their best. Obviously, they have their own injuries and suspensions that they're dealing with. But what they did have back was their first choice defence in front of Emi Martinez. We had Konsa at right back, Moreno at left back, Carlos and Torres. That's their first choice defence. If they have that, it gives them a chance to keep clean sheets. Tielemans and Douglas Luiz is a midfield that lacks foot speed, and unfortunately for them, they're going to lack foot speed in midfield. I think Tim Irogbunam should be starting, personally, because I think you need that defensive midfielder in there in the style that they play. And with Boubacar Kamara being done until probably October time, I think Irogbunam needs to start making a case for himself to start next to Douglas Luiz. Late kickoff on Saturday gave us Brentford against Manchester United, and I have absolutely no idea how Brentford didn't win this game 6 or 7-1. That's how clear the gulf was between the two sides. United had more of the ball, 53% to 47%. Brentford had 31 shots. United had 11. They both had 5 on target, but Brentford hit the post about 20 times. Post, crossbar. I saw someone try and say that the reason United got a point was Onana. It really wasn't. It was the fact that Brentford kept hitting the woodwork. Mason Mount put United 1 up in the 96th minute, having been absolutely battered for 95 minutes. United went in front. But 3 minutes later, Christopher Ayer gave Brentford a point. They really should have gotten all 3. They should feel disappointed not to have gotten all 3. They They outclassed United more in this game than they did last year in the 4-0. But they kept hitting the post over and over and over again. And United were absolutely abysmal. Genuinely abysmal. They were so easy to play through. On to Sunday then, Liverpool 2, Brighton 1. Danny Welbeck put Brighton 1 up on 2 minutes. Luis Diaz equalised on 27 minutes and Mohamed Salah scored the winner on 65 to give Liverpool a huge win and put them back on top of the table ahead of the Super Sunday game, which could have seen Arsenal retake top spot on goal difference. Yet another come from behind win for Liverpool, but with Welbeck scoring so early, it's basically like the game starts 0-0 when the team scores after 2 minutes. You've got the full game to get the goal back and then to get a winner. And Liverpool did that, so credit to them. Man City 0, Arsenal 0 in one of the most boring games you'll see all season. The media have tried to frame it as cagey. It wasn't cagey. It was just flat out dull. We had two teams here that lined up with 8 centre-backs. 4 for Arsenal, 4 for City. Plus 2 defensive midfielders each. Rodri and Kovacic, Jorginho and Rice. 12 defensive-minded players between the two teams. Arsenal parked the bus. City dominated the game. City's poor finishing and wastefulness meant they only had 1 shot on target, while Arsenal had 2. City had nearly twice as many shots in the game, though. Actually, they did have twice as many, 12-6. Arsenal fans are trying to celebrate this as some great performance. And I really don't know why. They want to be lauded for going there and not trying to win the game by parking the bus. Like, they played a back 6 with Saka and Jesus basically acting as wing backs on top of the back 6. And then Odegaard and Havertz trying to carry the attacking load. There was nothing admirable about that performance. There really wasn't. But what they did do was they gifted top spot back to Liverpool. So the Premier League table has Liverpool top with 9 games to go. 2 points clear of Arsenal. Arsenal do have a better goal difference. 6 goals better off, but Liverpool have an easier run-in. Then it's a further 1 point to Manchester City on 64 points. They are 5 goals worse off than Liverpool, 11 goals worse off than Arsenal. But City have the easiest run-in of all 3. Then it's a 5-point gap to Aston Villa, who are 3 points ahead of Tottenham. Now, Villa have played a game more than everybody else in the top 5. Actually, everybody else in the top 6, but United are not relevant to a Champions League discussion. So Tottenham, if they win their game in hand, which is against Chelsea, if they win it 2-0, let's say, they will go ahead of Villa. They'd have the same goal difference, but they'd have scored 1 more goal. That's going to be an interesting battle, but it might turn out that both get Champions League football if the Premier League is awarded a 5th spot based on the combined coefficient. Below Spurs, it's an 8-point gap to Manchester United. Then it's a 4-point gap to West Ham. West Ham have played a game more. Then a 1-point gap to Newcastle, who have that game in hand over West Ham. Then another 1-point gap to Brighton. Then a 1-point gap to Wolves. And that gets us to 10th. Wolves on 41 points from 29 games. Then it's Chelsea on 40. Fulham on 39. Bournemouth on 38. So you've only got 6 points separating 7th and 13th. And some teams in there have played 30 games. Chelsea have only actually played 28 games. Then there's a significant drop-off to Crystal Palace. I would say Palace will be fine, but they're the start of the teams that could go down. Everybody from Bournemouth up now has reached enough points where they're going to be fine. Palace on 30, Brentford on 27, Everton on 25, but they've played a game less than Brentford. Then Nottingham Forest on 22, Luton on 22, Forest obviously awaiting the outcome of their point deduction appeal. Then Burnley on 18th, on 18 rather, in 19th. And Sheffield United on 15. Sheffield United have a game in hand on Burnley, Luton and Forest, but it really doesn't look like it'll matter. They are minus 50 on the season, are Sheffield United. 77 goals conceded. That is 3 a game. No, it's not. No, it's not. Not quite 3 a game. It's close, though. Where's my calculator? Here we go. 77 divided by 29. It's 2.65. Yeah, it's 2.65. We multiply that by 38. They're on track to concede 101 goals in a Premier League season. That's a scandal. And they have Liverpool, Chelsea, Brentford, Burnley, United, Newcastle, Forest, Everton, and Spurs. Now, they should be able to hold a few of those teams below the 2.65 and drop that average down. But there's a few games there where they could well get absolutely trolleyed and potentially skew it even higher. But yeah, I mean, defensively, they're just an absolute shambles. Burnley aren't much better, conceding 65. Luton aren't much better, conceding 62. There's a lot of bad defensive teams in this league. Like, you just need to look up the table. You've got Liverpool 27, Arsenal 24, City 28. Good. They're good defensive teams. Very good defensive teams. Villa have conceded 42 in 30 games. Spurs 43 in 29 games. United 40 in 29 games and still have a goal difference of 0. West Ham 54 in 30 games. West Ham are 7th with a negative goal differential. Newcastle have conceded 51 in 29. Newcastle, the best defensive team in the league last year. Now, they have scored more this year. They've got 63, but still. Brighton have conceded 46, Wolves 46, Chelsea 47, despite being quite a defensive team. Fulham 47, Bournemouth 53, Palace 49, which isn't terrible considering where they are on the table. Brentford 55, Everton 41. Everton have the 5th best defensive record in the league. You've got the top 3, and then Manchester United are 4th and Everton are 5th. You've only got 3 teams in the league who've conceded less than 40 goals through 28, 29, 30 games. That is abysmal. Absolutely abysmal. It's shaping up really nicely, though. We've obviously got a 3-way run at the top of the table. Then we've got, at the moment, it's a 2-team battle for the 4th spot, but it might become irrelevant. For Europa League, I think you can look at everybody from Manchester United to Brighton to get into the 6th spot. The 7th spot, I would also open it up to maybe even Wolves and Chelsea if they could put results together. And then the relegation scrap, I think Brentford, Everton, Forest and Luton are the teams who are trying to avoid going with Burnley and Sheffield United. It would be incredible if Burnley managed to stay up at this point. Now, not impossible. They're only 4 points behind Luton and Forest. They have a much worse goal difference, though, so it really is 5 points. But if they were to throw together back-to-back wins and the other two had back-to-back defeats, they'd be out of it. But the likelihood of them winning back-to-back games when they've won 4 all season is very, very low. Very, very low. Right. We have a full slate of midweek games. So I'm going to go to break. When we come back, we will look at the 5 games that are taking place tonight. Then we have 3 tomorrow and 2 on Thursday. So see you after this. Right, welcome back. So we have 5 games tonight in the Premier League. We have 2 7:30 kickoffs, 2 7:45 kickoffs, and 1 8:15 kickoff. So 7:30, Newcastle at home to Everton. That is 8th against 16th. In the form table over the last 10 games, the Toon are 10th and Everton are 20th. Over the last 6 games, Toon are 8th and again, Everton 20th. Newcastle's home form isn't very good at the moment. It's 12th. Everton's away form is 19th. Injury-wise, for Newcastle, a lot. No Sven Botman. He is not going to play again until 2025. No Jamal Lascelles. It sounds to me like he's got an ACL problem as well and might not be seen until 2025. Sandro Tonali, banned until August, but potentially facing an extension to that ban. Lewis Miley, he won't be back until at the earliest the middle of May. Same goes for Callum Wilson. Same goes for Joelinton. Nick Pope, they're not expecting back till the end of this month. Anthony Gordon will be suspended after his red card at the weekend. Kieran Trippier, they're hopeful, will be okay to play this weekend. Tino Livramento has a twisted ankle. He's likely to miss out. Miguel Almiron and Matt Targett also expected to miss out. So turn down to the bare bones. Everton, no Dele Alli, no Arnaut Danjuma. Michaelenko should be okay, and Lewis Dobbin potentially done for the season. I'm going to pick a Newcastle win, given they're at home. Given Everton aren't very good, I'll go 3-1 to the Toon. Next up then, Nottingham Forest against Fulham. Last 10 games, Forest are 17th in the form table. Fulham are 9th. Last 6 games, Forest are 15th. Fulham are 7th. Forest's home form has them 14th over the last 6 games, and Fulham's away form has them 14th 14th as well. So fairly evenly matched. Injury-wise, Fulham have nobody out. Forest, this is probably the best injury situation Forest have had since they've been promoted, really. Teo Awoniyi, he's done probably till the end of the month. Nuno Tavares, Willy Bolly, and Ola Aina, they're hopeful will be okay for this game. If not this game, certainly the weekend. Fulham didn't look great at the weekend. And Forest at home, I think I'm going to go with. If Forest need to win because they need to open a gap on Luton. And obviously Luton have a really tough game tomorrow night away to Arsenal. You wouldn't expect them to get anything there. But Forest need to be getting themselves clear of Luton. Back up in line with Everton and Brentford and open a gap to the bottom 3 and just sink that bottom 3 as quickly as they can and keep themselves in the division. So I'm going to go for Forest to win 2-1. I think Chris Wood could cause that Fulham backline some problems, but likewise Moniz will cause the Forest backline some issues. Burnley home to Wolves. Last 10 games. Burnley are actually 15th. 1 win, 4 draws. Wolves, on the other hand, are 8th over the last 10 games. Last 6 games, Wolves are 11th, Burnley are 16th. Burnley's home form is 18th. Wolves' away form is actually really good. It's 5th. 5th in the league over the last 6 away appearances. Injury-wise, Wolves have no Neto, no Hwang, no Bellegarde, but they're hopeful that Craig Dawson will be back. So that one could be helpful, although I think they've been better defensively without him. For Burnley, no Ramsey, no Redmond, no Kolioshu, no Bayer, no Alderkeel, and Assignon will be suspended after being sent off at the weekend for 2 yellow cards. I'm going to pick Wolves to win. Burnley are just not very good, so I'm going to pick Wolves to win. I'll go 2-1. That's a 7:45. Obviously, then Bournemouth Palace is the other 7:45. That is 13th versus 14th. Last 10 games, Bournemouth are 11th, Palace are 13th. Last 6 games, Bournemouth are 6th, which is really good. Palace are 14th. Bournemouth's home form is 13th. Palace's away form is 20th. So they've been dreadful away from home. But they did get a point at the weekend. Injury-wise for Bournemouth, no Ryan Fredericks, no Sinistera. Sinisi probably another game before he's back. Same with Ryan Christie. For Palace, they've obviously got a lot of issues at the moment. Sam Johnston done for the summer. Doucouré done for the season. Holding is out. Guehi is out. Edouard is out. Olise, they're hoping could be back at the weekend. Raksaki is out and Franca is out and might not play again this year. I am going to go for the Bournemouth win. I'm going to go 3-1 on this one. I'll go 3-1. I think without Guehi and Doucouré, Palace, even playing a back three, I think they're a little bit easier got at without those two, who are the two best defensive players. And obviously then not having Olise, who I think is their best player, takes away one of their two best attacking options, him obviously and Eze. So we'll go Bournemouth 3-1. And then last game tonight is the biggest one of the 5. It is West Ham against Spurs, 7th hosting 5th. Last 10 games, Spurs are 4th. West Ham are 14th. Last 6 games, Spurs are 4th. West Ham are 12th. Home form, West Ham are 15th. 1 win from the last 6 home games, 4 draws. Away form, Spurs are 7th. 2 wins, 2 draws, 2 defeats. Injury-wise, for West Ham, Edson Alvarez is suspended. Agard is a doubt, but should be okay. Alphonse Areola could be done for the season. For Spurs, no Sessegnon, no Fraser, no Solomon. Solomon's the only one that would likely even be getting minutes off the bench. Fraser, Sessegnon would be the backup left back, you'd imagine, but still. I'm going to go the Spurs win. I think Spurs have to win. I really do. Because they want to catch Villa. And this is a good opportunity because obviously Villa play at City tomorrow night. So I'm going to go Spurs to win that one. I'll go 3-2. I think it'll be a fun one. Tomorrow night's games are fun. Brentford, Brighton, Arsenal, Luton's, and Arsenal hammer them. But Brentford, Brighton, and City, Villa should both be decent games. And then Thursday's interesting because you've got Chelsea versus United. Liverpool should be beating Sheffield United very, very comfortably. But yeah, 5 games tonight. There's something there for everybody. I think the West Ham Spurs game is certainly the most watchable of them. The others all vary in levels of importance. They're probably more important for one team than the other because, like, let's be honest, Newcastle are not doing anything in the league this year. Fulham are not doing anything in the league this year. Wolves are not doing. I mean, they're finishing in mid-table, fair enough. But for Everton, for Forest, for Burnley, these games are huge. The Bournemouth Palace game, they're both going to be fine. Palace need the points more, just because they're 8 points behind that group that I think are safe, or that are safe. But still, they'll pick up enough points between now and the end of the year. But West Ham Spurs has a lot riding on it because Spurs want to get into the top 4. And West Ham, I think, would like to get 6th, and get Europa League rather than Conference League. But we'll go to break. We'll come back with the gossip. So I'll see you after this. Right, welcome back. We've got 4 days of gossip to do, so we'll just go through that. But one story that did catch my eye is that Ajax have suspended their CEO for insider trading. Now, allegedly, Alex Kroes, who's their CEO, bought 17,000 shares in the club before his appointment was announced. So obviously of the belief that once he had been appointed, the value of the club was going to rise and potentially he was going to make some money. Now, he says he's provided full disclosure to the supervisory board about his assets, and we'll wait and see. But Ajax just continue to be a bit of a circus over the last couple of years since the Mark Overmars thing came out and subsequently with everything that's gone on around them. Right, gossip. Liverpool's favourite target to replace Jurgen Klopp is Ruben Amorim. That's very good news for me. Amorim has a €15 million release clause, which kicks in at the end of the season. Again, that's very good news. It's good value for him. Bayern Munich, who also covet Xabi Alonso, have a new first choice in Ralf Rangnick. I find that one hard to believe. Bayern are also interested in Roberto De Zerbi and Julian Nagelsmann. Well, they only sacked Nagelsmann a year ago, so I doubt that. But De Zerbi I can definitely see. Graham Potter is a candidate to take over Borussia Dortmund. I actually like that idea. I do like that idea. Real Madrid are monitoring Trent Alexander-Arnold's contract situation as he enters the final 12 months, as he approaches the final 12 months of his deal. Liverpool are interested in Eintracht Frankfurt and Egypt winger Omar Marmoush, who plays for Stuttgart. No, he doesn't. He plays for Eintracht Frankfurt. I've just said that. Should Salah leave? He's not an option to replace Salah. He's not nearly good enough to replace Salah, but he is a good player. Barcelona could struggle to hold on to João Cancelo because they can only afford another loan, but City want to sell. Manchester United could trigger a $51.3 million release clause to sign Gleison Bremer from Juventus this summer. I really want to see Bremer and Martinez as a pairing. Amadou Onana will be sold this summer if Everton receive a significant transfer fee or if they are relegated. Tottenham plan to accept an offer for Pierre-Emile Højbjerg. An offer. Any offer will do. Aston Villa and Brighton are both keen on Crescencio Somerville. I just don't see Brighton signing him because he wouldn't fit their model. He'd be too expensive. And they've already got Adingra, Matoma, Buenanote, Osman coming in, Solly March to come back. I don't see them touching their front four unless someone leaves. And if someone does leave, I still don't think they'd go for Somerville. Barcelona's hopes of signing Messinho, also known as Estevao, are growing, but Man City, Man United, Chelsea, Arsenal, and PSG have all been linked, and Barcelona don't have any money. On to Sunday. Chelsea are planning to sell two of their England internationals. Right back Reece James, that would be club captain Reece James, and midfielder Conor Gallagher, who has regularly been the captain this year to avoid breaching the Premier League's profit and sustainability rules. The problem they have there is they have to sell them by June 30th, and the most likely club to come in for Reece James is Real Madrid, who can't buy him until July 1st. So it actually wouldn't make sense from that point of view. However, I would sell him. If you can get a big fee for him, get his wages off your books, he's so injury prone. He has missed basically 2 of the last 5 Premier League seasons through injuries. That's how many games he's missed in the league. Over 5 years, he's missed 2 games worth. That's not something you can just keep going with. West Ham are edging closer to signing Ivan Toney in a statement deal for the club. Toney in front of that trio would be incredible, but I think they'll lose Paqueta this summer. Luis Enrique still hopes he can convince Kylian Mbappe to stay at the club. Well, sitting on the bench as regularly as you had probably isn't helping. Carlo Ancelotti says he is not worried that Vinicius Jr. would leave Real Madrid, despite speculation that he could move because of the racist abuse he has experienced. Yeah, I mean, it's disgusting, but Any move for him is going to be a downward move. He's the best left winger in the world. Clubs will queue up to buy him. Ruben Amorim says he remains focused on Sporting Lisbon and winning trophies amid rumours he could replace Jurgen Klopp at Liverpool. Getafe boss Jose Bordalás says he is unclear on Mason Greenwood's future at the club, with Manchester United yet to make a decision on his future. Manchester United are leading the chase for Port Vale's 17-year-old England striker Bailey De Pepe. He's an under 17 or under 18 international. Sporting won 68.5 million for Victor Gyökeres. That's actually just his buyout clause. I think it's like 75 million euro or something like that. Bayern Munich have confirmed that Joshua Kimmich will not extend his contract until they find a new manager. That's fairly standard. Barcelona and Chelsea are both working on a move for Messinho, known as Estevao, or Estevao, known as Messinho. He's super talented, but I do worry that he'd get kicked all over the place in England. Denmark midfielder Christian Eriksen is frustrated by his lack of game time at Manchester United and will be allowed to leave in the summer. Inter Milan see Fiorentina's 19-year-old defender Michael Chiodi as a potential replacement for Denzel Dumfries if he moves away from the club. Yeah, I mean, I could see that one, to be fair. I really could. Barcelona's Polish striker Robert Lewandowski is set to remain at the club. That's bad news for Barca. They really need him to go to Saudi and get his wages off because he's no longer the player that's worth that kind of money. Sunderland and Northern Ireland defender Trey Hume is attracting interest from Aston Villa, Bournemouth and Napoli. Interesting. I mean, he's good, but I mean, Napoli would be an enormous step up, as would Villa. Bournemouth, I can see. You know, he's a good right back. Bournemouth have a good right back in Max Aarons, but he is a little bit injury prone. But yeah, I mean, Trey Hume is the second best Northern Ireland right back. So Feyenoord have made an approach for Ben Johnson of West Ham, who's now permitted to speak to overseas clubs because he's had a contract in the summer. Liverpool have joined Manchester United and Chelsea in the race for João Neves. I really don't believe that to be true. Manchester United and Manchester City are both interested in Jeremy Frimpong. United have been linked with him for a while. City had him at one point, but let him go. Man City are set to rekindle their interest in Lucas Paqueta. Leeds hope to re-sign Calvin Phillips if they secure promotion back to the Premier League. Yeah, could see that one. Newcastle will speed up their search for centre-back this summer and offer Paul Dummett a new contract. I mean, why? Why are you offering Paul Dummett a new contract? Former Sheffield United boss Paul Heckingbottom leads Sunderland's potential list of candidates for their next permanent manager. I mean, Mike Dodds is the interim head coach there, obviously. He's the third manager they've had this year. They made a decision to hold on till the summer. Really don't think Heckingbottom moves the needle for them, but he did get Sheffield United promoted, so I could see why they'd look at him. Barcelona are willing to listen to offers for Rafinha this summer, but he does not want to leave, which is unsurprising. I think they've been willing to listen to offers for him for quite a while because he hasn't ever really replicated his form from Leeds and prior to Leeds since going there. Real Madrid bosses think Xabi Alonso is the perfect replacement to take over from Carlo Ancelotti in 2026. I would bet that happens next summer. Tottenham plan to loan Aleo Velez to a different club next season as they feel he has not played enough games during his current spell with Sevilla. Yeah, that makes sense. Maybe a championship loan. Ruben Amorim would consider joining Liverpool if he was offered the job, but would only make a decision at the end of the season. I think he'll make it before that. It just won't be announced till probably late April, early May. Tottenham have joined the race to sign Archie Gray, with Liverpool also interested. I believe Liverpool are actually well at the front of that list, and I think with Edwards back, that'll be even even more of a pressing desire to get him. Some members of the Chelsea squad have made it clear to the owners that they would prefer to see Maurizio Pochettino replaced at the end of the season. This has long been an issue with Chelsea, players having far too much power. Newcastle have reignited their interest in Arsenal and England goalkeeper Aaron Ramsdale as they target a younger goalkeeper. That makes no sense. No sense. They've got a significantly better goalkeeper in Nick Pope, and I know Nick Pope is into his 30s now and he's had some injuries, but Nick Pope is still going to be your number one. And Aaron Ramsdale at 25 isn't young enough to waste another couple of years as a backup. You'd be better off looking for somebody who's like 19, 20, 21 and going from there. Newcastle are braced for bids from Arsenal and Tottenham, potentially worth 100 million for Alexander Isak. Arsenal, I don't think, have 100 million, personally. Not if they want to stay within FFP. West Ham will have to pay at least 60 million if they want to sign Amadou Onana. They wanted him before he went to Everton. He turned them down to go to Everton. I think he's probably regretting that decision now. Tottenham and Newcastle have been told they will have to pay more than 50 million to sign Morgan Gibbs-White. Morgan Gibbs-White doesn't really make sense for either of those clubs. Man City are expected to put Calvin Phillips up for sale with an asking price of 30 million. They might have a tough time getting that at the moment. Arsenal and Newcastle had scouts watching Brazilian striker Evan Nielsen of Porto at the weekend, and both have watched his teammate Alan Varela this summer. Alan Varela, I think, will have a lot of offers. Roberto De Zerbi is on a 3-man shortlist to replace Thomas Tuchel at Bayern. I think he'd be perfect for Bayern, to be honest. Liverpool, Tottenham and AC Milan are set to battle for the signature of Tosin Adarabioyo on free transfer this summer. Facundo Pellistri could leave Manchester United this summer, having failed to establish himself in the first team. He should look to leave. He's wasting his career. Real Madrid are assessing the possibility of signing Reece James. Yeah, I mean, I really do think it's a strong possibility. I know they'd like Trent, but I don't think they'll get Trent. I think they might get Reece James. Plymouth Argyle are considering appointing Neil Warnock as a short-term replacement after the sacking of Ian Foster, because they want a firefighter with the club just 1 point in one place above the championship relegation spots. Could make sense. Barcelona and Spain defender Marcos Alonso was expected to leave the club on a free transfer this summer, while Sergio Roberto could also depart for free. Put your money on Sergio Roberto rocking up to Inter Miami. Former Barcelona and PSG star Neymar plans to return to his native Brazil and Santos when his contract at Al Hilal expires in 2025. He's not expected back till later this year. They spent 70-odd million to get him, and he's missed the majority of his time there through a torn ACL, and then he's planning to bounce. It's magnificent. And then there's more stuff on Estevao with Chelsea, PSG, and Barcelona all being mentioned. So, you know, it is a load of nonsense, really. Right, folks, I'm going to leave it there. I will be back tomorrow, so take care of yourselves. Enjoy the games tonight, and I'll speak to you then. Bye-bye.
Sports Social Podcast Network.